Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua, and I'm going to be your presenter today. Today's topic is our donations end-of-year statements. It's a very detailed topic, and we've only got a short amount of time to try to cover as much of it as we can. So I'm going to move through the material probably, well, reasonably, but quickly, at least in order to keep on pace here. We're going to work together for the next 20 minutes or so. At 20 minutes after the hour, I will wrap up what I'm discussing here, regardless of where we are. I'll certainly be happy to see what I can't do to answer questions for folks. If you do have questions for me, please type those in the questions portion of the webinar control panel. I do have Marla here answering questions for me today. This is going to be a very well-attended webinar event. So she will do her best to answer those questions for you. A recording of this webinar event will be on our YouTube channel here between now and the end of the week. So if you miss it or you have to leave or something, please look for that this webinar recording to be on our YouTube channel by Friday, no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Before we dive into our donation statements, first thing, the pages in our workbook are from donations or D106. Pages 2 through 16. So if you have the workbook, workbook, you can find this particular topic or the pages that I'm using in the workbook as a guide today for our webinar event. If you don't have the workbooks, by all means, you can go to our website, our new website, to see those or order those workbooks if you wish. And I'm very pleased to announce for the very first time, I'm opening up, and we just revealed or released our new website, folks, here yesterday, and ta-da, here it is. So here's our new Church Windows website. We're very pleased with it. We're very proud of it. Our webmaster and associated folks did a great job on it. So if we go to the Support Center here, under Supporting Church Windows, we notice here we've got everything, all of our movies and our blog entries and everything else listed here for you with nice pretty pictures and documents and all kinds of stuff. So please visit our new website. We're hoping you'll enjoy it. We're certainly interested in any feedback you have about it. Okay? All right, so let's dive back into our donation statements. All right, so donation statements provide your donors with proof of their contribution to the church, that they can submit for their taxes each and every year. Okay, in donations, you can produce statements at any time. They can be customized, to show pretty much anything you want on them, and you have a good deal of flexibility in terms of how those statements are produced. You can search for them, or you can pick and choose who you want to produce your statements for. You can print them for membership, members, visitors, donations givers, donations groups, whoever you want to produce them for, okay? And they can also be emailed. We're not going to be talking about the statement designer today, nor are we going to be talking about emailing donation statements. We're simply talking about producing actual printed statements or generating the list of statements for your members and your visitors, or for whomever you're wanting to produce them for, okay? So first and foremost, so I'm being asked to miss the workbook where this is from. This is on D106, pages 2 through 16. Okay, so first of all, under Manage Givers, the first and foremost thing is that, well, generally we only want to produce statements for those who've given. But above and beyond that, we also need to ensure that the software is being instructed to produce a statement when giving is present, or not, as the case may be. Right here, if we go into Manage Givers, we see under, say, Nina Abenshine or Shine here, we've got a box called Receive Statement right here on the upper right of our name tab. Okay? If that box is not checked, then no matter whether there's giving present or not, or they've given to the church throughout the year, the system is simply being told they should not receive a statement at year's end. Okay? For those folks that are giving as a family, so like here we see under Bill and Donna Bell, they're highlighted in blue. What that tells us is that they're giving as a family, and so when we go to the family, we see here under the name tab the receive statement box is checked for families and groups. Okay? So in most cases, we're going to check either receive statement on the families and groups tab or the individual givers tab, but we're not going to be able to check it on both. Sure, there are certainly individuals, say you've got an adult child who's in the same household with their parents but giving separately and wants to receive their own separate statement. As long as they're not giving as the family, you can produce a statement separate for that individual. But again, we're going to check this give receive statement on the name tab of either families and groups or individual givers, but we're not going to check it on both. System won't simply let us. Okay, so lesson number 1. If you know there's giving present and the statement still isn't being produced, the first thing I'm going to recommend as your support technician is we come into this manage givers and either under the individual givers or families and groups check and make sure that the receive statement box is checked. 9 times out of 10 it is not. Okay? So that's the first step. So you've got to make sure that the software is instructed to produce a statement for them when giving is there. And that's how you do that. When you're setting them or adding somebody as a donations giver to the system, right here we add donations group, or we click on the plus sign, click add donations individual giver. Once you add them, the system is going to automatically check them as receiving a statement. Okay? Not so, I don't think, when you're adding the record in membership. I'm pretty sure. People do not have to have a giver number, an envelope number, in order to be able to produce a statement either. That's one of the benefits of using donations is if you don't have envelope numbers, you don't have to use them. Giving is posted to a person now, not a number. Okay? But whether they have a number or not, receive statement has to be checked. Okay? All right. Moving on to page 3 of our topic here, we're going to go into our donation statement. So we're going to click on here, or under reports and export, we can click on donation statement here in the upper left or down here at the bottom right. So here we have our step 1 of our 2 steps in producing our donation statement. So here, notice step 1. Select who should receive statements. That's really the bottom line of these 2 screens, folks. Step 1 is who, step 2 is what. In terms of, what format of the statement do we want to include, what kind of global message do we want to put on there, basically, again, step 1 is who, step 2 is what. So step 1 is who should receive statements. So there are several tabs here across the top. So first of all, giving and pledging tab, which is the default. There are a number of options here. So right here, notice under giving include here, let me grab my highlighter. So giving include, and then our pledging include. So here under we've got all. Basically, do we want to produce a statement for everyone who has received statement checked? Do we want only those who gave? Or go those that gave a single gift of $250 or more? You have this kind of granular control, folks. Okay? Only those with giving from. Let me click on some of these buttons here. So when we change under, whoops, not the arrow. Sorry. Grabbed the wrong little connector there. So only those who gave, and you can choose single gift of 100, 250 or more. Only those who gave from. So you can set a minimum. So say we only want to produce statements for those that have given 250 throughout the year or more, as opposed to a single gift with no upper limit is the default. But if, say, you want to go, okay, we want to produce statements for those who've given from $250 to $1,000, you can set that control. Otherwise, the no limit is the default. Basically, everybody that's given above 250. Do we want to produce statements for those who have not given at all? Okay? But again, this particular portion of the query relates to giving and only giving. Then it's separated by an and or an or. So basically, an and is basically inclusive, so it includes both giving and pledging criteria, as opposed to or, which it looks at the giving or the pledging criteria. So it has to meet one or the other of both, or one or the other, but not both. And it requires both. Okay? So pledging include similar type control, all of our givers, regardless of whether they've pledged. Do we want to produce statements for only those who have pledged, or only those with pledging from, again, a particular dollar range or amount range? Or maybe we want to produce those statements for those who did not pledge at all. only those who with pledging from or only those who pledged. Notice it does allow you to also limit it down to those with a particular pledge type. Again, folks, this is really granular. You really have a lot of control for who you want to produce statements for. Generally, we're not going to be this specific, but you can be. Also, how does gives with family impact that? We want all those with gives with everybody, regardless of gives with family. Do we want only those with gives with family or those that do not give with family? And our date range. This date range, of course, is going to default to the year, but if you produce quarterly statements, you can run it for a specific quarter if you wish. Okay? So you would run it for, first quarter 1/1 through 3/31 of 2017 or 16 or whatever you wish. And finally, all those who have met all pledges or have not met all pledges. But by default, folks, the system when you launch the donation statement is set to produce statements for giving include only those who gave and all under pledging. So basically, pledging is of no consequence to the statement. Okay? Then we've got our Givers tab here. This allows us to enter certain other criteria to our statement production here, producing of our statements. So maybe we want to produce statements based on certain membership criteria. Like say maybe a common one would be something like status. So if we type in status code, here we go status, and here say you want to produce them only for your active members. Add that to our selection. Okay? Maybe we want to produce the statements for those with numbers or those without or those that fall within a specific giver number range. Okay? In the upper right hand corner here, right up here, based on a certain range of giver numbers. Okay? Again, you've got a lot of control here, folks, in terms of what it is or who you're producing your statements for. Maybe under our include section here on the right hand side, we want to produce our statements for members and visitors only, which again would be the default, but you can include and produce statements for your membership groups, for your donations individuals, and your donation groups if you wish. You can even include and produce statements for terminated or inactive folks too, if you wish. Okay? So generally, if you're producing a statement and it's saying, hey, we've got giving, we know this person has giving, but the statement isn't coming up, and we've checked the received statement and it's checked, most likely we're looking at one of these options perhaps as being the criteria. Maybe they are terminated. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're a donations individual or a donations group, and they're not actually don't reside in your members or your visitors membership database. Okay? Accounts. You can produce giving statements to reflect and based on certain account criteria or pledge criteria if you wish. Okay? A lot of control. All right? Sort. You can have, sorting, control sorting of how your statements are produced, whether you want to, how do you want the list of statements to be sorted? By default, I think it is the giver number, but it will remember whatever your last sort was automatically. So you could go, okay, I want them sorted by name and then by number. So we can invert these, changing sort field 1 to name and then choosing sort field 2 to number. Your choice. And finally, on our options, how do we want to relabel certain fields on our statements with regards to, pledged frequency amount given, prior giving, under, or non-pledge. So you can rename these. So you don't prefer like pledge, you can change it to estimate of giving, if you wish. Okay? So again, in this case, we are going to produce a statement for everyone who's given, regardless of pledge, for the full year. It's a pretty simple church here. We know that if we send a statement to everybody who's given, that we're generally it's going to wind up coming back in the form of more giving in future years. Okay? So we're not going to enter any special criteria here. We're simply going to click Next. So we've chosen who we want to produce our statements for. Okay? These are our end of year statements. All right? And then when we go to step 2, again, let me get the highlighter out here. Step 2, select the statement layout, select email or print for each giver. And again, we've got several tabs across here. We're going to talk a little bit about them, but not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. So the first and foremost is our statement layout. So we have a lot of statement layouts in here that we have, just in our training data that technicians and folks have worked with here, okay? But the two that are in here are windowed envelope, and I think trifold mailer and Canadian layout or envelopes or Canadian statements for our Canadian users, okay? The default is windowed envelope. The windowed envelope is one that we've simply constructed and built into the software over the years that we've had in there that's just a default. If you don't like it, you can use the Statement Designer screen to edit or change that layout for virtually any way you wish. Again, we're not going to go into that as part of our webinar today. Okay? But you can, if you like the trifold mailer. Let me scroll up here. It looks like we've got a bunch in here. So we've got our trifold mailer, which is the default. It's simply called trifold mailer. There's got to be it in here. There it is, trifold mailer. That's the default. And you would just produce the statement. Again, you can go to the Statement Designer and change the layout of that if you wish. You have your global memo. Basically, it's the global statement memo that goes onto the bottom of everybody's statement. So if you want to control those, you simply click the little sheet of paper icon to the right-hand side, right here. Little sheet of paper guy right there. And then when we click on that, it opens up our global statement memo screen. And here it's saved all of our previous memos. You can add new ones simply by typing in a title and a message and clicking add. So here I can just enter something and click add. I go, oh, I don't like that one. I just simply click the minus sign to the right end of it. And it says delete my yes. And there I've removed that message. If I like the one I have but I want to amend it, notice here I can click in the message and I can click the down arrow and I can just click in the message and just edit it however way I wish. Okay, I don't have to reinvent the wheel by deleting and re-adding a new statement if I'm just needing to edit or amend the current existing one. But it will save whatever ones you add until you come in here and remove it. Okay? So here I may say, okay, I got to edit this one for 2015 and say we're going to add in 2016. Say we've got to edit it to make sure it's in the church by 12/31, and then we're done. Whoops, not quite. It looks like we got a digit in there. Let's get rid of that. Then when we click OK through that, we would simply choose the one called End of Year, and that then appears on the bottom of everybody's statement. Okay? This is a global memo that will appear at the bottom of everyone's statement. If you wish to put a personalized memo to a specific person or statement, you can use this personalized statement memo field right here. Right there. And then you can also enter a personalized email message if you're emailing your statements as well. Again, we're not going to be getting into that today. So right here, if I go, I want to send a personalized message to Nina, I simply click in there and I type in, "Hi Nina," and then that statement will appear on the bottom of her or on the personalized statement memo. Okay? Organization information is basically the information that it detects based on what you have entered in Church Windows under the System Profile screen. But if you want to change that or you want to add a new one, you can click the little pencil here to enter new organizational or additional organization information, or you can click the little pencil icon here to edit the existing data. Finally, when we go to our email tab, this is where we would then go through the process of setting up the email. Again, this would be covered in either a separate webinar event or in your training workbook on the setting up email. Okay. Once we've got this set up, again here, and we've made our choices to our statement layout, and we've entered our global message, and we simply click on print. Again, we do have emails set up here, but we're not going to email them to folks. We're going to physically send them. And then simply click, once we click print email statements in the bottom right, it opens up a print preview of that report here. And let's see if we can go down to number 34. I want to make sure we're seeing the message there for Nina that we typed in. There it is. So we have our let me zoom in a little bit here. We've only got a few more seconds here, folks, or a minute on our webinar. But right here we've got our default IRS statement here that's in here. Here's our global memo, and then there's my personalized message to Nina. Okay? Again, you have a lot of control here, folks. You really, you do. If you have questions about it, please contact our support staff. We are simply a phone call away if you have any questions or problems with this whatsoever. Okay? But again, we've got lots of information out on our YouTube channel. It is now promptly 20 minutes after the hour. I'm done here. I did, like I said, race through the material a little quickly there, but again, with the 20-minute layout or format, there's just not a lot of time to spend and, to kind of waste on or talk about, spend on a lot of these topics. Again, our support staff are simply a phone call away. We hope this event has been helpful for you. And again, look for the event to be on our website by no later than this coming Friday. So let me see what questions we have here. It looks like Marla had to dart out. For those who terminate their membership during the year but have given, do you need to check the include terminated box? Winnie, if they're terminated in membership or if they're inactivated or terminated in donations as a donations giver, yes, you do have to check that. What about the IRS statement? Is that part of the global memo as well? Winnie's asking. No. That would be under our statement designer. We build in under our statement designer, Winnie, a default statement. Whoops, I don't want the trifold mailer. So sorry, folks. I want to go back down to my windowed envelope and click on that just because that's the one that folks most commonly use. But right here, we have a line in the statement designer called IRS statement that's hard-coded. If you don't like that, you'll remove it and you can enter a statement of your own using the global memo message. Great question. Let's see here. What else do we got? When I have to change an email in the membership, does the automatically port to donations? Yeah, Paul, that should be the case. Yes, if you enter the record in donations or update the email address there, it should bring it over if you've got an email enabled here. What we recommend oftentimes is that if it doesn't bring it over, what you need to do is go to administration, support info right here. Whoop, it's telling me I got to close out of donations. But there's a repair and compact function that basically, and it resyncs membership with donations. Right here, system administration support functions. And right here, repair and compact access databases and sync membership with donations. That might be the most you have to do. Good question. Lori's asking, is there a way to print each statement as a separate document? We would like the statements that are 2 pages to print two-sided on one sheet of paper, but then one page. Wow, that's a great question, Lori. I'm not aware of a way to do that. It does, short of going in and basically, once you've, not accounting, Josh. Sorry, folks. Yes, close out of accounting. Let's go back to donations. If we go to donation statements, if we go to step 2 and we are on step 2, what I can recommend is if you just leave, Lori, if you leave the print box not checking email for everybody and then just go to print, and I think you've got the warning that comes up and says that, when statements are more than one page, where is that? That occurs under, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remind myself where that is. Maybe it's under the statement designer. Print warning, if statements are longer than one page. I'm sorry, I'm losing it here in terms of where that is. But there's a message that will come up and warn you if statements are longer than one page. And if that's the case, just make a note of who those are, then just simply, uncheck those folks, printing everybody else, and then go back and just check those other ones you want to print two-sided. That's what I can recommend. Yeah, I hope that helps. Yeah, you're right. It does happen. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that would be something that, you'd need to call me or email us with your customer number so we can get that into suggestions for you. But it makes complete sense. Yeah, it might be a default setting that it comes up now and prints warnings if their statements are longer than one page. But I really do think there's a control in here that allows us to change that. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in, folks. Again, you're very welcome. For those of you who are thanking me, I really appreciate it. again, please call us. We have our extended hours starting in January. Please visit the new website. And, well, if you're attending tomorrow's webinar event, I'll be presenting that one as well. So we hope it's been helpful. And I'll go ahead and end the webinar for everybody. And thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.